All right, all right. Welcome to Reality Check. We are doing another Ready to Love Reality Check recap. And tonight I have a very special guest is going to be with me. But before we get into that, if you are watching this, make sure, I promise you're going to want to share, like, share, and subscribe this. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you just go ahead and get that out the way. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and like it and share this broadcast because we're talking Ready to Love Miami. I got to tell you guys, I am back in love with Ready to Love. So DC was okay, and then Potomac was okay, but I think people were trying to getting a little bit tired of the fact that they felt like everything was strategic. People were doing things behind the scenes. Miami is with the ish. You guys hear me? They are with it. I am loving this cast. They're bringing the heat. It's totally different. It feels very fresh. It feels very different. So I'm excited about tonight's guest. But this weekend, I had the opportunity to hang out at the Women in Wine Festival. I had several of you all's Ready to Love alums hanging out with me. I had Phil G from Ready to Love DC. He actually flew in and was on the Love versus Lessons panel here at the Women in Wine weekend. I also had Angel Frank from the first season. I don't know if you guys remember. If you're true Ready to Love alumni, you remember Angel was on the first season. She was involved in a little bit of I don't even know if it was a love triangle because the guy that was dating her, I believe it was Aaron, he was dating he was doing his thing. He was making his rounds, and she didn't know what was going on for a long time. But Angel was there. She looked great. She had a lot of great things to say. And then we also had Letitia and Marceau from Love and Marriage Huntsville. It was just like a own reunion. It was great. We even had in the audience Otis and Charlie from Put a Ring on It, and they brought the baby. So stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to be sharing video clips from that, pictures from that. I think I shared a picture of Phil and I on the red carpet. There's so much more coming from that, a lot of tea that we were able to get. But let's get into tonight's conversation. Hope you guys checked out Ready to Love on Friday. So please help me welcome the man himself. We have Devin Dugan in the building.
How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, Devin, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am great. How was your weekend?
It was exciting. We had the reunion this weekend, so I got to kind of see all my fellow castmates, kind of mingle a little bit, have some good laughs, have some good cries, and enjoy everybody one more time.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. Now, are you guys in certain I mentioned that we had some of the cast from other seasons came out to hang out with us at the Women in Wine weekend, and I've talked to some of the other. Actually, went to I went to see Marlon Wayans this weekend, guys. He has a new comedy special coming out, and I actually went with Shay from the first season, who's a good friend of mine. She was there. But do you all have you guys started to hang out? Are you cool with any of the other cast members outside of the reunion?
No, by all means. Me and April keep in contact pretty often. We've shared some stuff, not really on a intimate level, but more on a friendship, connectivity, energy wise kind of level. Sharice and I keep in contact. I talk to Randall pretty often. Swayze's my dude. So there definitely is a few that I keep in contact with a little bit more regular than the other ones, but it's all love when I see everybody.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to tell you, Devin, just getting started, we're going to start a little differently just because, you seem like a cool guy, and I had a great weekend. I love to hear that you and Sharice are talking because I was hoping you would stay around a little bit longer.
For sure.
But I really thought because of what we saw from Sharice, she seemed she seemed like one of those people that not everybody would get her, like not all the guys would feel her, but you actually were feeling her and were I like the fact that she's not difficult, but you like the fact that she definitely was a unique individual.
A little bit of a challenge, yeah, by all means.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, by all means, I definitely wish that would have came, or at least had the opportunity to kind of explore that. But unfortunately, my situation, she was probably only the only one that I had that kind of sexual attraction to. So that might have made it a little bit harder for me to stay in the house or stay in the journey. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Devin's giving us a little bit of something to hope
Never
for.
know.
Yeah. So let's start there. But when you came into the house, because like I said, this season, taking it to Miami, we know it's automatically going to be very hot. We had people, you guys had a pool party for your opening mixer. So you got a chance to see everybody. You can automatically identify who you are physically attracted to. So automatically you were attracted to Sharice, correct?
She was definitely my number one. Yep, by all
Okay.
means.
Was there
And
any
then I guess like going through the whole day party, speaking to her, kind of getting her energy, and more so even the guys not kind of liking her because she was so straightforward or so off, just very blunt, very honest. But I like that. I want someone who's transparent. And, I think some stuff unfolded a little bit later in the season that kind of calls her out on that. But for me, it was something that I identify with my mom a lot. My mom's a big Italian lady. She's very blunt, very honest, can kind of be a little bit abrasive sometimes, but at the same time, she's genuine. She's the most loyal person I know. So I saw a little of those qualities in Sharice, and that's what automatically had me gravitate towards her.
Okay, that makes sense. And you brought up your mom because I that's a great segue because I found some footage from another show that you were on where your mother and father were basically it was their job to pick someone that would be a good fit for you. So I'm gonna play this clip and then let's talk about this was maybe like I think 5 or 6 years ago.
2016, I believe, is when we filmed it. Came out a little bit later that year, so probably about 6 or 7 years now.
Okay, let's check, you guys. Let's check out this clip with Devin and his parents because this kind of gives us a little snapshot, a little behind the scenes peek into his personality. So check out this clip.
Hated girls for the wrong reasons. The pretty girls and the big boobs and the big butt. I played in the NFL for about 3 seasons of being in and out of the league. Playing football on the NFL level, obviously you see the girls who are really just around for the money and the power and because of the label, not truly who you are. A lot of the problems in my past relationships have been brought on by me. Infidelity, trust issues, just kind of being a little bit more big-headed than what I should have been. I think love is when you kind of put someone else's needs above your own. And unfortunately, in the past relationships, I could never do that with the girls. I was always kind of about myself, but that's one of the biggest things I'm looking to change. And I really am ready to be faithful. I really am.
I like that car there. He was telling me about that.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Frank.
And we're Devin's parents.
We're from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
And we're here to find Devin a wife. Hi.
Okay.
Love them. I love them. I love seeing them on TV with me. That makes me happy.
They're so cute. So first of all, okay, so what made you want to do that particular show? Because for that particular show that you shot, that was on another network, a network we will not discuss tonight. That was on another network. And the idea of the show was that your parents would watch videos and they would pick who they thought was the best fit for you.
Absolutely.
What made you decide to do that? And do you obviously you trust your parents enough to make that type of decision?
Even though the decision didn't work out in my favor, there's no one that I would have trust more than my parents for that. We've been through a lot together, kind of my tripod. I always gravitate towards my mom because I'm a big mama's boy, but my dad has been there from thick and thin. Our relationship was pretty much built on football for a while. So once that stopped, we essentially had to start from scratch, and I kind of, now my relationship's better with my dad than what it ever been. However, my mom's always been my best friend. I always make the joke that if I killed somebody, she'd be the first one I tell because she would definitely know, Like that's the true definition of loyalty for me. And, I was approached by an opportunity to see, if that was something I'd be interested in. And for them to do that and be a part of that journey, it was something special. I would say everything was perfect about that. My grandma was on TV. My folks were on TV with me. But unfortunately, with the female, it just didn't work out.
Okay, so you actually on that show you actually got married.
I did. So I got married to who my parents picked, and I didn't get to see her until the wedding day.
Wow, I think I actually have a picture right here. This is the wedding night or the wedding day. This is at the reception. So you were so that's the only marriage that you've had before?
That's my only marriage. Yes, yeah,
Your
that's my
only marriage.
only. And I
So
mean, it doesn't really count. I would say a little bit. It was a solid. I would say we moved in together probably around September, and
mhm,
then I moved out probably in March, and we got officially divorced in May. So we gave it a
okay.
good shot. It was a lot different when the cameras weren't around, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Because I'm a big fan of Married at First Sight.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that, except the parents don't pick, but you find out who you're married to on the day of your wedding. What did
absolutely.
you learn through that experience? Because you're right, once the cameras are away, well, first of all, you guys were not supposed to communicate, during that time. So
Mhm.
once you see her and you guys get married, what did you learn from, I guess, from like October to March about just being with someone else and.
It's tough. It's tough, really, kind of immersing yourself in another person's life and kind of seeing if it can match. Um, and for the reason that my parents picked that my spouse, I
Mhm.
really did want to try to give it my best effort because they put a lot of work into it. There was a lot of stuff with them flying down. They had to miss work sometimes. Um, a lot that went into it from their end, especially. So for me, it was kind of like that obligation to see where it goes. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. She was a little bit older than I was, and I got a lot of I guess admiration or a lot of interest from the show from a lot of females
Oh,
across. And I feel like in that aspect, she didn't do well with that. And
okay.
she felt like it was kind of like butting heads, and then she was trying to steal the spotlight, and it was more so just got messy. I had no hard feelings towards the person I married. But for me, everything on that show was perfect because got to hang out with my friends, hang out with my family. Went to LA a few times with my folks, so it was all a good experience, and I definitely learned a lot from it, especially trying to, you know, think outside the box. I think a little bit. She was definitely not my ideal female. A little bit more petite, like I said, older, still attractive in her own sense, but not ideally what I would go for, and it just something that we just couldn't make work.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I mean, that a lot of people have marriages that they pick themselves
Yeah,
and they end,
yeah,
end just as quickly. So some of the issues, this was about 5 or 6 years ago, but some of the things that you talked about in that clip, you talked about just picking the wrong woman based on physical appearance first.
yeah.
And also, like, maybe you had some issues in the relationship. You took responsibility for having some infidelity issues. What have you learned, from before that? Because you obviously went on that show because you wanted to find someone, or you wanted, to be in a different space.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself and maybe why you were making some of those decisions?
The biggest thing that I could say, outside of the publicity and, the experience as a whole that I got from that opportunity was I went on to find my ex-girlfriend now. She watched the show, reached out to me, and she was very different in her approach in reaching out to me. Very respectful. A lot of girls are saying, "Hey, when are you going to be in my city? Let's meet up." She asked about questions, asked who I was, what I did for a living. And, finally, I actually looked at her profile and I thought she was the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life.
Aw.
So, we actually ended up talking for a little bit. And, long story short, we dated for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Now, at that point, I was still in that football mindset, kind of that player attitude. I like the attention. I like the glory. I like all that stuff. But I think one of the biggest things that I could say is single-handedly losing her made me change a lot of my life around, because I realized that, not everyone's going to deal with, my nonsense because of who I was or what I did. And, not was she just beautiful, but she was actually just the perfect person. She actually supported me. She was loyal. She had a lot of the same interests that I had. And to see her walk out of my life made me realize that I do need some self-work. And I took some time away from people, and did some meditation, started to do, yoga, started trying to find out what was wrong with me internally. And I realized I really wasn't healed from football. I had some problems finding myself, and I think it was more so the fact that I didn't love myself enough to love somebody else. So that's kind of this, the guide or the path I've been on recently, is to kind of find that self-love, find who Devin is without football, without the attention, without the girls. Can I really just be satisfied with who I am? And again, for me, looking back on that and seeing how far I came, she was the most pivotal point in my life to actually me being a good man. And I always have, admiration and a lot of love for her, because even though I put her through hell, and it was a rough relationship probably on her end, she showed me that there are people out there who really do care for you, outside of all the superficial stuff with the TV modeling, whatever it may be. She really loved me for who I was and put up the best fight she could. But unfortunately, it came to a point where she had to love herself more than she loved me. So, but if she never left, I would still be that same person.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome for you to share, because I think when we share things, it helps other people. And hopefully she's in a good place and is healed from that. I want to ask you, before we get into Ready to Love, because we have a lot of questions coming in the chat. You guys keep the questions coming. I definitely will try to get to as many of them as we can. Make sure that you're liking and sharing this. We're having a conversation with Devin, who is on Ready to Love Miami. And before we get into his experience on Ready to Love, we talked about another show that he was on with his parents, where they actually picked his bride. But we know that you were a former football player, professional football player. And usually with professional football players, that doesn't start in college or even in high school. That starts, in elementary school or early on, with your parents and your father. That was you guys' relationship. Talk to us a little bit about how you kind of found your identity with football, and then when that was over, because I know a lot of men. I've talked to a lot of athletes that kind of go through that feeling of like, who am I if I'm not playing football? This is how I see myself. This is my identity. How did you deal with that? Besides some of the relationship issues, how were you able to kind of make peace with leaving the game behind?
It was the epitome of what you said, trying to find your identity, and try to find who you are. I played from when I was 8 to 25. So, you think about that 17 years of your life that you're essentially, I put it into like married to somebody. That was my wife. That's who I woke up and thought about. That's who I went to bed and thought about. When you went around the circle at elementary school and they asked who you wanted to be when you grew up, I wanted to be a football player. So in that aspect, it was everything that I wanted to be, and I made a lot of people proud. But it was also something that it was very tough to transition out of. Very, very tough. One of the lowest points of my life, to really see that dream fade away. And, since playing from a young age, my body was essentially breaking down by the time I started to play in the NFL. By the time I started to get those opportunities, my body couldn't keep up no more, because it's not a very natural sport. As you see, the concussions, the wear and tear, it's not a natural sport. So, I think about this and I say, without my parents, I don't know if I would have made it, really. I came to a point where I was that low, that sad, that kind of lost, that I didn't really know what to do. And I probably didn't make the best decisions back then too, still trying to live that lifestyle, whether it's going out and partying, blowing all the money, still trying to have people believe that I was of substance. But I was losing myself. And, what I realized in that moment was the fact that I've spent a lot of my life trying to impress people that I don't know. And in that time, I pushed away the people who really did love me, because I always wanted to kind of go out there and impress people and spend money or have this certain type of status, wear certain type of clothes. But really, I wasn't giving that love and attention to the people who were closest to me. And that's why I lost Sarah, my ex-girlfriend. That's why I lost a lot of close friends, because I wasn't keeping those relationships mutual. It was all one-sided, what I can get, what I can gain from them. So it was tough, it was very, very tough. And I still feel that I'm not truly healed from it, but I am a lot better than what I used to be. But I'm excited for the progress. It's all about process, and again, I still have that little bit of animosity when football comes around. The season's right around, and it's like, that should be me. Why can't that be me?
Yeah.
But at same time, if I continue to look at it that way, then I don't appreciate what I have going on in my life right now. So
Right.
it's a balance, and I'm definitely getting a lot more clear mentally and a better headspace, but it's still tough sometimes.
Yeah, no, I can hear that. Like I said, I've had this conversation with quite a few athletes. Actually, Thomas Jones, that's now an actor, talked about how just finding that and finding acting was something. So I wonder for you, because you kind of segued into doing television because you were on that show, and then I read that you initially wanted to be on The Bachelor. The Bachelor, I was a Bachelor,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
and now this, do you think that that's kind of like a way for you to try to like do something that's close to football as an entertainment?
Very true. Very true. It still gives me that sense of being alive. That little bit of anxiety, or that feeling that you're just you're scared to death, but you're also the most alive in that moment. And that's how I felt walking on that field most of the time. Was I was the truest version of me. I was the most alive, the most feelings that I could have. And doing TV and being in front of the camera and kind of having these conversations, it scares me sometimes. I could be a little bit socially awkward, but at the same time, it makes me feel accomplished or proud. So it is something that I do enjoy. It's something that I want to continue with. I have done some smaller movie roles. I have done, some modeling, some runway shows. So in those moments, it's something that I can definitely relate back to and say, this makes me feel like, similar to a football game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with that being said, I'm just going to ask you, straight out, do you think that you approach these shows with the true intent to find love, or was it more like an opportunity to chase your dream to be on television or to be in front of people?
I would say definitely the first one. The one my parents picked was more so I was open to finding love. I was open to find the right situation. But I wasn't going to force it. But I did like the fact that, I would be in that kind of limelight. I would have the opportunities. The Ready to Love opportunity, it was more so I am getting older. I'm 32 years old.
32, Devin, that is not.
But I'm starting to feel a little bit of the pressure of. Sorry, I'm starting to feel a little bit of the pressure of. I want to bring someone home for the holidays. Me and my parents are very close. I love Christmas. I'm from Bethlehem, which is the Christmas city. For the last 4 or 5 holidays, I haven't really brought anybody home, and it's, my parents always welcoming, but I can kind of tell they want that for me too.
Yeah. What does your mother say to you about, because we heard, she was very instrumental in picking the last woman on that show. I'm sure she's probably, has some things to say about this. So what is your mom's advice to you in dating, and especially as you approach Ready to Love?
Yeah, just be yourself and believe in yourself, and those are the 2 biggest things that I try to live by these days. Just for the longest time, I always wanted to be kind of that Rico Suave, kind of smooth talker, good dancer, and that's just not me. I'm a little bit awkward. I could be a little bit shy. I could sweat when I first meet you. I don't know if you watched the first episode.
Yes, we did. Someone asked, "Were you sweating now?"
Yeah. So again, I'm not the most smoothest guy. Like, I feel like people at first look at me, they think that I'm some cocky, overconfident, ex-football player who's not a bad-looking kid, but if you get to know me, I'm a lot more than that. I'd kind of say like the shy, redheaded, virgin middle school kid who, like, still trying to find his way through life, So it's something that's where are we going with this?
Let me ask this, because Ismaine Jean Lewis asked a good question. She said, "What made you go on Ready to Love instead of just going out to try to be an actor, or get on a regular movie or something like that?"
Sure. To be transparent, time commitment. If I wanted to be an actor, I'd have to quit my big boy job. It's something that you can't do half-assed, unfortunately. And I tried to balance both of them, but in the entertainment industry, they don't care what time it is. You got to be there at this. A casting call comes out one day, you got to be there the next day. So I realized that the people I'm competing against, they're doing this day in and day out. And that's the same thing with football. Again, if I wanted to play in the NFL at the highest levels, I had to do it full time, not part time.
Yeah.
I would never let a person who's doing this full time or working on the side beat me because this is my job.
Right.
So in that aspect, it's kind of, I'm at the crossroads of my life because it's like, I am 32. Is this my last shot to go out there and pursue that dream that's going to make me exciting and fulfilled? Chance to fail? Or do I keep my, 6-figure job that makes me, do very well financially, but is more of a safe play? I don't really enjoy it from time to time, but it is secure. It is safe money. So I'm kind of at that point now where I am trying to look to see.
You're going to have to make a choice.
Risk. Yes, before I get too old, So I think by the end of the year, I'm going to see what I can do. I've acquired some new businesses in the solar aspect. And if those do well financially, then I will walk away from my full-time job and kind of pursue acting in a more true, approach.
Yeah, in a more holistic approach. Well, let's talk about Ready to Love. I think that you're the crux of what everyone is asking about you is really in that right there. I think you've gotta believe in yourself enough to go after what you truly love, and that will definitely pay off. Let's talk about this experience because there was a lot that happened. You were on a short period of time, but there was a lot that happened.
I heard I was talking to town for the first 2 episodes. So
you definitely were.
That's a good thing for the producers. I always want to go put on a show, whether it's good or bad. It's all love. It's all fun.
Yeah. So let's start with Sharice because I mentioned earlier. It was obvious that you guys had a connection. You were not at all fazed by the fact that she might have seemed challenging to some of the guys.
Yeah.
But when we saw questions coming in, we saw you go to her house for the get together, and she was turned off because you came empty-handed. And that's what a lot of the ladies in the chat. I'm not gonna lie. When I watched it, I was like, okay, you always gotta come with something when you go to a woman's house, Devin.
It's crazy, because to be very transparent on this, I get the rap of, again, the ex-athlete, model kid, bad boy, I guess, tattoos a little bit. I promise you that I text the producers and asked me, what should I bring? They said nothing. So I don't know, again, if it was a setup, I'm not lying about this. Again, I'm a very respectful kid.
Yeah.
My mother's a big Italian lady. She's always taught me manners is very important. Yes, ma'am, no, sir. I definitely asked if I should bring anything, and they said no. So in my honors, I think that maybe it was a little bit of a setup. Maybe it was to kind of thicken the plot and see if she still liked me after. But it was definitely not my intention. I'm definitely a little bit more respectful than that. And I did ask to see if I should bring anything, and it was conveyed to me not to. So.
Were you nervous? Well, obviously we know that we saw you nervous several times, but were you nervous attending? Because if you were going to someone's house just regularly and you were invited, you would bring something, right?
100%. And I think for me, the word nervous, it might appear that way, but it's more just so awkward. It's, like I said, I'm not that smooth kind of talking.
What is the awkwardness, Devin? Because you seem we're having a great conversation. Where do you think, do you become awkward when you're talking to women, or is it, because I'm not going to say it cannot be, it could be, but is it women, or is it just when you're in a situation that's uncomfortable or new to you?
I think it's something where it's new to me. Again, once I get the ball rolling and I can speak a little bit and I can kind of be myself, conversation flows very naturally for me. However, when I'm first meeting somebody, or the expectation or those kind of added pressures to go out and impress somebody, that does make me a little bit awkward, maybe joke around a little bit too much. I think also we have to keep in mind that there is stuff that's edited out. So I feel like a lot of the times, stuff was put together to kind of make me seem like I was a little bit more out of my element than what I was. Don't get me wrong, I talk a lot of shit. I joke around a lot, probably more than I should. I still have that kind of football mindset where I do enjoy talking shit. The banner stuff I do love. So it's kind of hard for me to take serious conversations a little bit until we get to that point. But for me, it was just kind of being who I was. And I think awkward's something that I've always tried to shy away from, because that's something that I guess isn't really socially acceptable. But that's
It's
just
whatever, whoever, as long as you're being authentic to
and
who's
that's what I'm at that point in my life where I have peace with that I embrace the awkwardness, that I'm going to say, hey, this is who Devin is, and if you don't like it, it's okay, and yeah, so I'm truly at peace with being that awkward kid these days.
Well, that's good. That's good. So did you know initially when after you showed up and you guys are there, did you realize that Sharice did expect you to bring something and that she was disappointed that you didn't?
I didn't in some aspects. I think, not to play into my favor, but I think Sharice gives me a little bit more leeway than most of the other guys in the show. Like she kind of, not in like a motherly instinct, but she knows that I'm a little bit goofy, weird, so I think she kind of she wasn't mad about it, put it that way. She was just like,
Okay.
oh, that's Devin, and she'll give me a little bit of a grace period, because she knows I have a good heart. We had those conversations.
Okay.
We've had the most in-depth kind of, connection in that aspect. So she's had the most chance of anybody to kind of see who I was and kind of know what I'm about. And I think she just knows that it was, if anything, an accident, but she also knows the story that I was instructed not to bring anything.
Okay, well that's good. But we just want to make sure that when you move forward from this, Devin,
Oh, for sure.
you can always bring something, a bottle of wine,
Absolutely.
flyers.
Never come empty-handed. I definitely agree.
So how was that mixer for you? How was that party for you at her house? Obviously, she's got a nice place. It was you and
Beautiful
somebody
place.
else.
Yeah. That in itself, to see a powerful woman like that have her shit together, and kind of have that. Her place is beautiful. It really, really was. So kudos to her, and it was clean, which I'm very big into the OCD. I am a very clean man. I think that's very important. Do well to take care of myself, physically, and all of those things were reassuring to me that she was my pick. So yeah, I think going into her house and seeing her and her true elements, made me only like her, on a higher level.
Yeah, nice. Well, I am hoping that you guys have a chance that we get to see some more from that story later. But we got to go back to the first episode that we saw. There was a conversation that you had about your son that really, really triggered a lot of people. And so I want to give you a chance to kind of talk about that. I think that when you hear a man kind of stumble around, the question, do you have children? That definitely sends a lot of people, men and women, it triggered a lot of people to say, wow,
100%,
what is up? And then you explain that, you explain the issue, but I want you to talk a little bit more to it, especially watching it back. Can you explain a little bit more about what was going on in your head at that time?
The funny thing is, like, people always ask me, how do you deal with all those comments? How do you like, keep your head on straight? How do you kind of shy away from that negativity? And it's funny to me because I just don't look at it. It's that simple. I don't read it. So when people are saying, have you seen all those comments about you? I'm like, I don't, because I just don't choose to read them. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. They really are. And again, it is reality TV. They're going to edit stuff and portray stuff the way that is most appealable to the audience. Mm-hmm. Now, with that said, my initial, I guess, reaction or what I've been accustomed to is to say no, by all means, until I have a point of respect and a point of, interest, or I have some, rapport with you. That's something that I don't share to a lot of people. And the reason being for that is it's been something that has caused a lot of turmoil between me and my family. Mm-hmm. It's been a very struggle with, even dealing with that, in a financial standpoint. And just the way that it came into about, my son's never a mistake. I'm always proud of him. I always reach out to him. I do the best to see him as much as I can. However, when your first kid is out of wedlock on a one-night stand, and you realize that that lady also has 3 other kids or 3 other baby daddies with, who also played sports, it's tough to kind of fathom that. And that's it's my fault for putting myself in that situation. But I also think that I'm entitled to not have that shared with everybody. That's something that's personal to me. And in this situation, though,
Let
that's
me
something.
let me just ask a question because I'm trying to make sure that we're clear. So, are you saying that it is you don't share the fact that you have a son, or you don't share the situation? Because I think the situation you don't have to share. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Whatever happened between you and that woman at this point, what came out of it was a beautiful child. So it's okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
So which part are you saying that you don't like
So
to share?
I'm so going into this experience, this journey.
Mhm.
That was one thing that I wanted to be transparent about. I wanted to give people the chance to say, this is who Devin really is. No holds barred, not hold anything back. In the past, I don't share it with people. If I'm dating a girl initially, I will not share that until we would develop a level of trust or rapport. And that's just because of the fact that it's something that a lot of people don't understand. And just like the audience, I don't really feel like I have the obligation to go out there and explain myself. I'm not here to bash my baby mama, but again, I've had to get a restraining order on her. She threw like rocks to my dad's house. She's, I pay astronomical support. But with all that said, I'll always do what I can to see him and make sure that he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think that what I was trying to do with the situation was kind of bring more light to the fact that it's not always deadbeats dads. It's sometimes females who are taking advantage of the situation and holding that child ransom for a situation that you can't control.
Yeah.
And for me, I always felt like my big mom wanted to be with me, but it was nothing that I ever wanted to pursue. So in turn, she kind of held my child against me and leeway to kind of have that connection, which is terrible, especially if seeing your parents who, again, they were not always the most conducive love parents, a lot of fights. When they said throughout my relation or throughout my childhood, I was told multiple times that when I go to college, they're splitting up, and it was crazy to see that actually when I left for college, they actually found each other and got, closer because all their attention was on me.
Yeah.
But in this situation, like I said, I always wanted that traditional family, and it's no mistake that it didn't come that way, but it's at the same time, it's something I'll never stop fighting for. And I hope this to continue to be a bigger and bigger influence in his life. But, the way the situation came about, my intention was to kind of shed some light and truly be who I was and truly show the audience that I did have a kid and I'm willing to, talk about this. But, my natural reaction for most people if I'm on a first date is to say, no. And if that's wrong, then I understand. But it's something that, again, I keep very close to my heart because it has caused us a lot of issues and a lot of hurt, to my family internally.
Wow. That is a lot. I would say, and it's not necessarily any of my business at all, but I would just say, I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in because we're having a conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that at some point, and that's a very, it's a complicated situation, right? It is. Like I said, I know a lot of athletes. I've worked with entertainers, so I know that, there's some complications there. But what I would just say to you, and this is not me talking to you as a blogger or journalist, this is me as you talking to a woman, to a man. I would hope that you can find a way to make peace with saying, yes, I have a son. I don't think it's anyone's business how it happened, but because your son is you, it's a representation of you. So when the first instinct is to deny it, it is you denying yourself, in a way.
And I totally agree with that. And that's why in this instance, this was kind of me to catapult me into unveiling that truth about myself. And going forward, I will. But it was a big step for me to do that.
Yeah.
And for people to take it in a negative way, it sucks. But that's okay because that's their general God-given right to have their opinion.
Well, I think they're looking at it from the child's point. Like if you heard your dad say no, he doesn't have a son, it would hurt you.
No, and I'm in total agreement of that. But I just hope that people realize that that was my natural instinct going forward. And on this journey, I wanted to be transparent about that and have that be my natural, my natural response going forward is to say, yes, I do have a child. It's a tough situation, but it's something that's I do want to become more mature about and become more transparent to people about, and also spread that awareness that it's not always dads who don't want to see their child.
No, I believe that, and I think the people, some ladies in the chat, and even in the conversation, are saying, Devin, we want you to go to court, get a court order, and make sure, because it's not fair that men don't have the same rights as women.
Correct.
If you want to be a great father, you should have that opportunity. And we do know that there's a lot of bias when it comes to courts, but everybody has to, you get what you give. So
absolutely. And those efforts have been made, and we are still in the process of doing so. We've had a situation that my parents kind of are the middleman between me and my baby mama. And for a while we had a situation where we're getting them every other weekend, and we make that work. And then some stuff happened with COVID, and obviously kind of messed up the flow of things. But it's something that going into that was one of my biggest goals this year, was to establish a more consistent relationship with my son. And that's something that I'll always continue to do so, because he deserves that. My dad was a great dad for me.
Both of you guys, he deserves it, and you deserve it, because you are, you're obviously very family driven and family oriented. And so, with you having the relationship that you have now with your father, I think you deserve to be that father for your son. So we're just we're gonna pray that works out, and that you're able to get that moving in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And I do think that, even though I think people had an initial reaction to the immediate instinct of denial, you did explain it and you went into detail. And I think, being accountable is the first step to showing responsibility. So I definitely can appreciate you. You didn't back away from it. You leaned in and you were just honest about it. So I think people saw that as well. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit from that conversation. But like I said, I do hope I pray that you're able to get that fixed and reconcile that. And the next time we see you, that's going to be, it's going to be in a different place. Because I also think that will, your relationship with your son is going to be a big deal with whoever you end up in a relationship with, right? 100%. So when you're talking about being ready to love and being ready to possibly, get married one day, you want to have all that ready so that you can, be a family and have that connection with your son, and he feels welcome. But taking a pivot, I want to ask you this, because with doing television and being a pro football player, that often attracts women that are not necessarily there for the right reason, right? As we talked about with your past. So are you worried by doing a show like Ready to Love and the show that you did before, and even potentially The Bachelor, that you're going to attract not the type of woman that you need, but the type of woman that just wants attention and do you ever worry about that?
I more so worry about me having my walls up and not figuring that out for myself, and giving, like I said, my ex-girlfriend, if you look at her, Sarah, from the outside, she's stunning, gorgeous, and I always had that kind of intuition that, oh, she's there for the wrong reasons, just because I am, this, that, and the third. But when I got to really know her, she really was the most perfect girl all around. And, in that case, it was a very thing that I ruined, because of those bad thoughts, because of that bad energy I was giving out. It was something that I pushed her off from, and always accused her of cheating or accused her of lying. But actually it was my own stuff that I was doing that was causing that. And, I am a strong believer of karma. And as I'm getting older now, do I realize that I am now only reaping what I've sowed, and now I am attracting those girls who aren't there for the right reasons, especially in this culture that we're getting to now with social media and blue check marks and likes and all this stuff that's going on. It is worrisome to me, but at the same time, you got to believe. You got to believe that your person's out there. You got to believe there's something better out there for you. If you stop believing and only believing to the negativity, that's all you're going to see in your life. So for me, I'm going to fall in love. I know I'm going to find my person, whether it's, someone from my past or someone that I meet going forward. But, like I said, I'm a firm believer in having that, those affirmations that life is going to only get better for you. And, there's a lot of negativity out there that you could feed into. But if you could choose to kind of, compress your circle and only have that positive around you, only positive will come. And I'm a firm believer of that.
I definitely agree, especially about love. I think that if you want love and you speak positive, it will come to you. I do think that sometimes what we have in our perception of what we need may not be necessarily what we need, right? So sometimes, chasing something based on the external may not always be the best thing. But I also think that, when you're talking about a relationship, you have to find someone that you're physically attracted to. But
100%.
I just think, maybe it may not be a dating show. That may not
for sure. And that's why you take these things with a grain of salt, and I think, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are couples who are going to work out. There are, and they're a little bit of the oddballs for sure.
Yeah.
But if you give yourself a true chance on these shows, you definitely could find love. But the biggest thing is to really see it out and be genuine in that pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
And, for the first time that I could really truly say this is I am ready to, I know I said this on my last show, but I really, really am at this point looking for my person,
what is different now about you saying that than it was before? Because I'm not gonna lie, you were very convincing in that little bio clip. I was convinced.
I also act too, so
right, I know, Devin.
But no, again,
I think you should be an actor.
It's 7 years later now. I realized I was tired of my own bullshit. I was tired of believing my own lies. Thinking that I was gonna be a better person than doing this half-ass stuff and then going back to who I truly was. So that's why, again, when I lost, my last 2 ex-girlfriends from my own nonsense, it really helped me realize that, if I continue down this path, I am going to be the person that I don't want to be. And that's, this 40-year-old guy, like bringing 2 strippers to the wedding with me, to hang out. I don't want to be that person. I do want to be that family man. Right. So in order to do so, I need to take a step back and really fall in love with Devin, and fall in love that I do believe that I deserve love. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I think that it's only made the people who come to my life, a lot more genuine, a lot more sincere. Mm-hmm. And I also think it's also allowed me that ability to let go of people who aren't serving that purpose, who aren't bringing positive energy into my life. I don't need to entertain things that aren't good for me, So I think, with all that said, it is the perfect time for me because I am truly the best version of Devin at this point.
Right. You're becoming here. It'll be even better later. Have you done therapy or anything like that?
I did with my ex-girlfriend. So not Sarah, but my last girlfriend, Christina. The thing about therapy is, I don't know. I feel like you spend a lot of money for them to ask you the same questions over and over, and that starts to drive me a little bit crazy. I was getting a little bit. I said I talked to you last time, and I told you the same story. Why are you asking the same questions?
It might have been the wrong therapist.
For sure.
And maybe it'd be good to do therapy by yourself because
and I agree. But I think more so than that, my path and my journey now towards meditation and doing yoga and doing things that are actually going to benefit me, not only just physically, but also mentally and clear my mind and give me good energy. That has been the biggest shape for me. I think, when I used to drive down the road and people used to cut me off, I used to lose my fucking mind, but now it's like, it's okay. It's a choice to be peaceful. It's a choice to be happy. And I do choose to be happy with myself at this point. So I know that going forward, it gives me the best opportunity to be happy with somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, when you watch the episodes, the few episodes that you were in the beginning, what was your thought? Were you surprised at the edit? were there things that you wish that you didn't say, or did you wish that you had done more? Did you wish you had tried a little bit harder to make that connection with Cerise?
No regrets,
Good.
honestly. Because of the fact that I was truly who Devin was. Whether it was a little bit too goofy, a little bit awkward. Again, I'm not a very aggressive guy, so I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, baby girl," I was who I intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my journey was more so about, finding myself, finding this new version of Devin, and that's why taking the leap of faith to be transparent about my child, taking the leap of faith to be accepting of my awkwardness, taking the leap of faith to, just truly be who I am and not really care how it's perceived, but know that's authentic.
Right.
That was my biggest goal, and that's what I set up to do. And, unfortunately, my journey was cut short, but at the same time, I'm happy for that because it also gave the other people the opportunity to find genuine love. And for me, like you mentioned before, it's not all about physical attraction, but for me initially, that passion or that, that desire, that sexual, lust is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think all the girls are
to most people though.
Yeah, all the girls individually are beautiful girls, and I respected all of them. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. And outside of Charisse, I really didn't have that extreme passion, desire towards anybody else.
I gotta ask you, Devin, because the chat is asking: do you have a preference when it comes to race? Is there a preference when it comes to just a certain look that you prefer?
If I would say, I get this a lot, who's your celebrity crush? I would say Daphne Joy. I don't know, you guys, so that would be like my epitome of what I want. Now, I've dated Caucasians, I've dated Black girls, I've dated everything between, South American. I really don't think that I would have a type, but I think that definitely a different kind of look, more that exotic,
like you, because you kind of have that. It's like like that, because you're biracial, correct?
Yeah. So that and it's, again, like I said, everyone's beautiful in their own individual way. But I know one thing is that I'll never regret having my own kind of style or what I want. What you want is up to you. So if girls don't fulfill that, that's okay. And again, that's why when I realized that, it was more so about making connections, maybe on, a friendship level, and having a good time, get to know people on that kind of level, rather than just intimate.
Right.
And I think either relationship's always beneficial, as long as it's set up in love and in light and in energy, it's beneficial.
It's beneficial. Well, Devin, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to hold you to this, because if I see you on another show, I'm going to text you and be like, Devin, what is happening? Are you gonna do? Are you done with reality shows and relationships to love, or do you think you would try it again?
You know what? I think, I guess, to be very transparent, I've been approached by a few different networks and whatnot. Always open to new opportunities.
You're open, okay.
Always open to new opportunities. If I would think third time might be a charm, because for the first two, like I said, great experiences, great people, everyone's beautiful in their own way, but it really just wasn't my cup of tea of what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Is that ever going to happen?
Had you seen Ready to Love before the other episodes?
Yes. So, one of the biggest reasons why I was kind of, I guess, motivated to go forward with it was the last time I was home prior to the show, my mom had it on. And me and my mom are so close. And I was like, yeah, I actually was talking to these people a little bit. And she's like, Dad, go do it. These girls are all amazing. They're all, sophisticated. They're all, successful. Their empowerment, definitely try it out. And I was like, you know what, Mom, I'm going to take your opinion and run with it. So she was definitely a big, driving force of me joining the show.
Okay. I like your mom. She seems like a woman that knows what she wants and
authentic, man. Yeah, she's authentic. And like I said, man, she's really my best friend. I really wouldn't be anywhere close to where I'm at in life without her. And I'm extremely grateful for her, you know what I'm saying? So, and also my father. And that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people take away, and I was speaking with somebody else, I think last week, and they asked me my relationship with my dad, and was he not there? And that's the reason why no, that's not the case at all. You know, it's my dad was there for me thick and thin. My dad was a little bit, definitely a dictator. You know, he was a little bit of a tyrant with football.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why you were so good. That's
sure.
also probably why you were so good. People say that, and I get it. I didn't grow up with a parent that was like that, but when you listen to people like Serena Williams or Tiger Woods or Beyonce, they all had parents that were very, very pushy on them, and look what happens. So
exactly. And you know, for the longest time, I hated my dad because he was so. But I realized he also grew up without a father, and that was his way of loving me, you know, and there was things that I could say about him. You know, sometimes he was a little bit mentally or verbally or physically abusive, you know, and growing up. But at the same time, when I look back at it, him not having a father, I'm able to forgive him now because of the fact that I know it was out of love. I know it was just, he wanted me to be the best version of Devin. And that's the way he thought, you know, and it's everything about parenting is kind of an experiment, you know, there's no right or wrong, there's no book, you know, so, you know, for the longest time, I think a lot of the maybe shyness or, you know, awkwardness, or maybe some of my lack of self-confidence, you know, along my journey, it definitely came from him, but at the same time, it was out of love. So I respect him for it. And that's why I think our relationship today is better than it's ever been, because you know, it takes a lot of, you know, it takes a man to really, really do everything for his child. And he loved it. And it was out of love.
Yeah, he did the best that he could. And now it's up to you. And that's why I think, you know, like I said, I pray that you and your son and your father are able to build a beautiful relationship. I also pray that you do try therapy for yourself, because I think all of us, I think everybody should go to therapy. I'm not just telling you that. I
agree. I agree.
Stopped and start going back again.
Yeah.
Everybody should go, because like you said, parents don't know what the heck they're doing. You don't know. I don't know. We're all just trying to do the best we can. And as a result, we end up doing things to our children as we learn.
Correct.
That they're going to need help for.
And sometimes you understand what kind of long-term effects that's going to play on somebody is, you know, having that. But at the same time, you know, one of the biggest things that I could say nowadays is, you know, you're either going to use that as an excuse or use it as motivation. Absolutely. You know, you're either going to take your story and make it a great story, or you're going to use it as a reason why you didn't succeed. So the choice is yours, and that's what I'm saying. So right now, I choose to be in a higher energy. I choose to be positive. I choose to believe that the best is yet to come in my future. You know, despite you know, playing football, despite, you know, the TV shows, despite all the success I've had, I think it's only going to get better.
It's definitely going to get better because you believe that. Last couple of questions, Devin. Is there any? Because you know, this is there any chance that Sarah could come back? Is there any chance that you could right your wrong?
It's funny because, you know, after I was let go from the show, we recently connected again, you know, so it is something that's very in the beginning stages. You know, I think I might have got a little ahead of myself, because for the past 3 years, you know, that's what I've been doing all this work for, was to kind of be better for her, you know, but then I realized that you can't expect that from somebody else. So I had to be better because of her. I had to take the opportunity to actually say, hey, you know, you've made me to be a better person. And the fact that we reconnected, and you know, I'm extremely grateful for that, because, you know, there's a point sometimes where you have people go out of your life and you feel like you'll never connect with them again. And to have that kind of guilt, it did bother me for a little bit. But I know going forward, the attitude that I need to take is the fact that I'm grateful for no matter what. No matter if we get to talk on the phone, no matter if we are friends, no matter if, you know, we're just acquaintances, or no matter if we get married, you know, I have to be grateful for her to come back into my life. Yeah. After this long a period, and after all I've done. And that's what it's about, just being grateful, you know, having that gratitude. So, you know, wherever we stand, wherever we go,
you got to be good for yourself regardless. You know what I mean?
Amen.
You have to be good for you. Yes. I love when Crystal's reading the chat. I am reading the chat, and you guys are hilarious, but you have to be good for you so that it will, you know, do that relationship well. And then whoever else is in your future will reap the benefits for that.
Benefits of that. Yeah. And that's why I say I'm always grateful for her. I'm always grateful, because I know that even if me and her do not get on that intimate level again, that the woman that I do end up with will get a lot of the benefits that she did not get, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that are because of her, because of the experience she taught me and what she meant to me in my life.
That's how it goes. Mimi, Devin told us. I believe you're a salesman, right? She asked, "What is your job now? What do you do now for
Yeah,
your?"
so I run a sales team for a logistics company, freight forwarding. So essentially importing containers into the United States.
Okay.
However, I've recently went on a venture for purchasing and acquiring 2 solar companies down here in the state of Florida. That's a growing business. The whole solar panels to kind of reduce your environmental footprint, but it
Yeah.
also does immediate savings as well as long-term savings, build equity on your house. So it's something that for the longest time I've had a hard time kind of, especially being with this little bit of public figure thing, pushing stuff out there, whether it's products or services, because a lot of it's kind of that salesy, and it doesn't really mean you're going to actually benefit from it.
Yeah.
But for me, with the solar thing, what captivated me is that I'm actually going to be helping people, and it's actually something that in the next 2 years, more solar panels will be involved or installed in the last 40 years, So it's something that I do stand behind and I do believe in. And that's why I know I'll be successful with it, because I'm not afraid to go out there and actually vouch for it.
I like that. Actually, do we just put solar panels on our house? So I
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And it's the way that it's scary at first, but it's like going from the flip phone to the iPhone. It's something that's going to happen regardless. Just
Yeah.
depends on where you're gonna fit into it. So
Gotta get on board.
I'm
Well,
excited
Devin,
for
I've enjoyed talking to you. I want to say my last point to you is I hope that you will, that is awesome, but I really hope that you will follow your passion and pursue that, because I think you have all the necessary tools that it takes to be successful in acting. And if that's going to, you had an amazing career early on, you deserve to have that type of career moving forward. So you just got to go get it and believe in yourself.
Yes,
And we also know, I believe that, things happen for a reason. So you didn't find your match early on in the show, but if you truly want love, and I know that it sounds like you do, then it will definitely come to you, and you'll be ready for it. You just got to keep doing the work on yourself.
yes, ma'am.
Definitely. And, it's your son. That is the biggest thing, I think, is
Oh yeah, no,
when you
that
get
is
that fixed, it's gonna spill over, and that love is gonna give you so much more. So
absolutely.
I'm praying for you, and I am rooting for you to have the best of all those worlds, but most importantly yourself and the things that you're working on yourself. Okay.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely appreciate you having me today. It was a pleasure
Absolutely.
speaking with you, and yeah, like I always say, the best is yet to come. So I'm excited for my future, and everybody who supported me, I love you. Everyone who said some bad stuff, I still love you guys too. So we're gonna be all right. Let's keep pushing forward and spreading that love.
Absolutely. Well, Devin, I'm gonna DM you. There's a Bible verse that when I was going through a really hard time, that helped me so much, and it was Jeremiah 29:11, and basically it says, "I know the plans for you, plans to give you hope and a bright future." And so I'm saying that over you tonight. I hope that for you.
I appreciate you, my dear. That means a lot.
Absolutely. Well, have a great night. Have a blessed week.
Yes,
Thanks
ma'am.
for
You as
hanging out.
well. You take care now.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Mwadi. You guys, please hit the like. Please share this conversation. I think that is absolutely, the conversation was very deep, and I think he shared a lot. I think he shared a lot of things that were probably difficult for him to share, regardless if people agree with them or not. I think he was speaking from an honest place. And so that's all we can ask everybody, is to come from an honest place, and really want to see, he's young. 32 is so young, for him to feel that way. And so I pray that he finds peace, and I pray that he's able to do the work and move forward. So whether or not he believes in the Bible, or whoever believes in the Bible, I went ahead and shared. That is my favorite verse, Jeremiah 29:11. It helped me so much when I was in a rough place. And that's why I do what I do, to promote love and to speak positivity and to help people to come through what they're doing. So I love you guys for watching. I love you for supporting and being here every week. We will be back on Friday with a great conversation. I actually had the opportunity to interview Marlon Wayans. That interview is coming shortly, and it's so good. He has so much to say. He's doing comedy on his own. It's a whole new Wayans. We know the Wayans family, but this Marlon is an entirely different Marlon. So please stay tuned to rolling out. Please stay tuned to From Crystal with Love XO. Again, I love you guys for watching and sharing and supporting, and I will see you next time. Have a blessed and productive week. Bye-bye.